What's up, Crypto Paradise fam? I'm Crypto Amaru. That's Crypto Hitman. We are back from our trip to Tulum, Mexico. It is Monday, June 24th. The markets are looking a little red, so we're going to talk about why that might be, what our assessment of that is, when maybe we'll see some green again. But before we dive into that, remember, Crypto Paradise is your one-stop shop for news, analysis, project interviews, project reviews, and so much more. It's also the only place that you can win free nights to Tulum, Mexico at the Paradise Pad. So remember, engage, like, subscribe, hit us up. We still have not yet had someone who wants to take those 2 nights or even 3 or 4. I don't even care at this point. Just come on out. It's a great time. We were there last week. But anyway, with that, let's dive right in. So markets are looking quite ugly.
Yeah.
60K or so. What's going on, Nick? Why are we dumping?
Well, I mean, the biggest one out there is the panic from Mt. Gox. Mt. Gox, for those of you who don't know, was kind of the biggest and only centralized exchange back in the day. This is 3 cycles ago, maybe 4 cycles ago, depending on what your timeline is. And it was hacked. They went bankrupt. So people's funds have been locked up that entire time. I know we've been hearing for years that people will get their funds back. But now, apparently, starting in July, people will get their funds back in like kind. That means people will actually be getting back Bitcoin, and people will be getting back Bitcoin Cash, and there's speculation that those people will be dumping that, so people are trying to front run that price action. Now, a big clarification here before you hop in here is that I personally believe the Bitcoin holders are Bitcoin OGs. They know how the cycles work. They think at the bare minimum there's at least another 6 to 8 months of bull market, so I think they'll be holding a lot of the Bitcoin. But the Bitcoin Cash was from the Bitcoin hard fork, meaning that Bitcoin Cash was absolutely free to all these holders, and most of these holders were Bitcoin OGs, so they could care less about Bitcoin Cash. So I think they'll be holding Bitcoin, selling Bitcoin Cash, and let's remind you that there is no Ethereum going out to the creditors. That means no Ethereum coming to the market, just Bitcoin, Bitcoin Cash. We potentially have the Ethereum spot ETF inflows starting. So I think this leads to the outperformance of Ethereum, which could lead to the outperformance of the altcoins as well.
Yeah, let's see what happened with the Mt. Gox repayment. I'm glad that those people are finally going to be getting those locked funds back finally. I don't know if they're getting it back in one tranche or multiple tranches. I believe they've been getting tranches back occasionally for the past few years. I could be wrong about that. But if you look, even assuming they get that $8.9 billion worth of Bitcoin in one fell swoop, and all of those people decide to sell, which is unlikely. But even so, I mean, you look, okay, so the market cap of Bitcoin is basically $1.2 trillion. And the daily volume on Bitcoin is $37 billion. And so I know it sounds like a lot and it is a lot. I actually think the market is capable of absorbing that and would recover even if assuming everybody dumps at once, which won't happen. But I don't want to call it a drop in the bucket, but it's kind of maybe one step above the drop in the bucket if you look at the big picture here. So I'm not that worried about it.
Yeah, I mean, it's like you said, based on the numbers, it's significant, but it isn't the end of the world. The likelihood of all of them dumping is low anyways. And then also, if my thesis is right, that these are Bitcoin OGs, they understand the cycle, so they're not really looking to dump Bitcoin. But also, you have the Bitcoin ETF, which is getting good inflows. So unless, Bitcoin price action gets catastrophic here and starts panicking even these new ETF holders, the inflows will eat up some of that. Michael Saylor is going to eat up some of that. He just bought another 700 million worth of Bitcoin. You got the CEO of Dell now, who dwarfs Michael Saylor's net worth, now talking about digital scarcity in Bitcoin if he starts buying or continues buying. I think a lot of that would get eaten up very rapidly. The market that I think could be affected more is Bitcoin Cash, which is obviously much smaller. That's a lot of Bitcoin Cash and a lot of people who don't care about that project getting those tokens. Just like airdrops, what do people get? You get the airdrop, you don't really care about the project, you just think of it as free money, you sell it for Bitcoin, Ethereum, or cash. I think that could happen to Bitcoin Cash as well. And I think the big key here is, guys, no Ethereum going out in Mt. Gox. No Ethereum. So there is no downward pressure of Ethereum, even though Ethereum is following Bitcoin lower right now because the whole market is down. You're not going to have that Ethereum airdrop, if that's what you want to call it, to be sold. And hopefully, the Ethereum spot ETF inflows, people are speculating July 2nd that lines up pretty well with the Mt. Gox FUD blowing over in July as well once those tokens are given out.
Yeah, I think it's important to remember that all market moves are the basis of what the market collectively is feeling that given day. And
Yep.
so you can't get wrapped up too much in the moment. You have to think long term. You have to have a sort of a historical understanding of this market if you're going to make it over the long term. And I want to just remind people that back in summer of 2020, right after the previous halving had occurred, you had a very similar situation with the market sort of down or just ranging for a number of months, really up until early fall of that year. And historically, summer is a down period for all markets. I think partially that's because people are away, they're not really paying too much attention, they're bored, and when people are bored and there's no catalyst, no news coming out, they tend to sell. But I think we're replaying exactly how things played out last time, which actually gives me a lot of confidence because that means it's very, very likely that come September or October, or maybe even around the time of election, where at some point we're going to see a major reversal and the bull market's going to continue in a huge way. And so, maybe just enjoy the summer a bit, right? No
Yeah,
need
I
to
mean,
panic.
last halving, I think it was sideways. You had outliers, various altcoin seasons, some pumps in Bitcoin until like August. So we're right in line. We're still in the same range. Unless you go below like 57,000, 56,000, this is still the same range we've been in. That's still a higher low. So from a technical perspective, as long as you maintain those levels, that's still a higher low, which leads to higher highs. You're still in a bull market. There is no change in direction in the markets here. So like Ian said, we're still right on course with what's been going on, except now we have the catalyst not only of the halving, but the presidential election, Michael Saylor, Dell CEO, the spot ETFs, which continue to get inflows, the Ethereum spot ETF. And we're getting countries around the world really starting to accept, use, and create their own products for Bitcoin and Ethereum. To go on top of the panic from Mt. Gox, we've also seen that the Germany government has sold, I think, around $400 million in Bitcoin over the past few days leading into this dump. So that might not seem like a ton, but again, that's erroneous downward pressure that really isn't there from the natural market. That's the government that probably seized it from some criminal or somebody they deem as a criminal. I don't know where they got the Bitcoin, but they sold like 116 million, and then they sold like another 300 and something million in back-to-back days, and that was 2 days ago. So that also adds to the downward pressure of selling there.
Yeah, I did read something about the Germany stuff, and again, it's sort of a momentary story, a bearish story that will be gone tomorrow. And I think it's important to not panic in these moments, not obsess too much over these downward moves, especially in a bull run when you have all these catalysts coming up in the relatively near future, and there's every reason to believe every reason to believe it's going to bounce again. I think it's a good time to step away if you want to, right? For a couple days. And I don't mean step away from the market, sell your position. I mean just step away from the computer, hodl, not worry about your altcoins, and certainly don't panic sell the bottoms of these things. That normally, I don't know, it doesn't turn out well for folks. There's a reason why the really smart investors who have made billions of dollars investing, like Warren Buffett, etc., says things like, you want to be buying when everyone else is selling, when there's blood in the streets is when you want to buy, all these phrases, right, that we've heard 100 times. There's a reason why those phrases exist. The professional, sophisticated investors, they buy when everyone else is selling, and then they start selling when everyone else is buying. And that's how guys like Warren Buffett are worth billions of dollars. So don't panic, guys. If you're worried, step away, do something else for the day, do something else for the week. Don't worry too much. It's all going to be fine.
Yeah, unless you think the entire market cycle is over, I wouldn't be selling positions here, because getting yourself to sell here, you have to hope for a lower price, and getting yourself to buy that lower price is much easier said than done, and it's probably not going to happen. You're going to get left behind. Bitcoin will go to 100,000, 150,000. You'd be like, I was in Bitcoin. I was so bullish. Why did I panic sell out at 60,000? So the RSI, which is a good indicator for overbought and oversold terms, is the most oversold it's been since August of 2023. And the Wyckoff technometer is approaching oversold. It has a track record this entire upswing that when it gets to a 38 to a 40, that is a short-term low before the continuation to higher price actions. Right now, it is at a 40 on the dot. So you have maybe a little more downside on the technometer. RSI, like I said, most oversold since August 2023. And you have that previous low at like $57,000 Bitcoin. Now, will the low be in? Will there be a black swan? I don't know. All I know is I'm still sticking to $100,000 Bitcoin by the end of 2024. The historical cycle is still on track for a big rapid move, whether that's August, September, or October. And I think you should be looking to get more capital into positions that you like here on this dip rather than panic selling after already watching, 3 or 4 days of red bars.
Yeah, look, if the news was something catastrophic, by the way, Brian Armstrong of Coinbase gets arrested and they shut down, and the federal authorities do a coordinated shutdown of Coinbase, and they come out with some press release saying that Bitcoin's banned or something. Okay, then we're in a different territory, and we would be on the channel saying, guys, we're also scared and we don't know what to do, and maybe you
Right.
should sell. We're not insane. We're always go buy, 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 but that's not this scenario. That was okay. The Mt. Gox creditors are going to get paid back. That's been known information for years now. Okay, they're finally getting their money back, but it's a drop in the bucket. Germany
Is
selling a
out.
sequential amount of Bitcoin. And I think just summer lull period and people are just bored waiting for the Bitcoin or Ethereum ETF stuff to get doubly finalized. So it's standard stuff. No reason to panic sell. You'll be regretting it later. In fact, if you have dry powder, and by the way, never financial advice on this channel, just our experiences, opinions. But if you have dry powder, some of the best trades I ever made, in fact, the best trade I ever made was the day that all the markets crashed. I believe it was March 2020 when all the markets crashed due to COVID hysteria. And I happened to be sitting on about 10K of USDT, and I saw Ethereum dump like 20 or 30% that day. And I was like, well, YOLO. I mean, I wasn't even really thinking too much and analytically, like, okay, we're going to get out of this COVID thing. Like, I was scared like everybody else, but I still just bought that, YOLO. And, I probably did 20X on that trade because I was buying the dip. I was buying the red. I was buying the blood, and it worked out great. So not financial advice. I mean, I took a couple positions today, loaded up on a meme I really like called Kai, grabbed a little bit more because they're in a correction as well. And I'm sure it's going to bounce back once the overall market does. So you have some dry powder. Buying the dip is not the worst idea in the world, in my opinion.
Yep, I would agree. I mean, that's where we sit today. Hopefully this video gets out rapidly and we'll see where Bitcoin wants to kind of put the low in. It's crazy too in this market. You'll see how fast things flip. If we get one daily green candle on Bitcoin, everybody will be talking about all-time highs again. People will be coming around to, oh, maybe Nick is right about $100,000 by the end of 2024. It can happen rapidly in the crypto market, and that's why you need to leave your emotions at the door. Try to have some capital preservation in mind. Maybe you're using stops on trade. Always have a little bit of dry powder for these types of days, and always remember that when you're winning and you're winning big, take off a little bit. Even if you think the project's going to keep mooning, maybe take 5% off the table, 10% off the table, so you do have that dry powder just in case you're incorrect.
Yeah, that's a really good point. It's important to have that dry powder, and that's how you're going to do it, selling the rips, right? And so there's nothing wrong with doing that. You'll have some dry powder for these red days. It's all going to be fine. It really is. And by the way, you say things change quickly. I mean, they really do change quickly. I'm in a lot of these groups now. Pretty much every crypto group, project in their Telegram has the buy bot, and I could tell that Bitcoin had stopped bleeding out earlier today when I saw a bunch of buys coming in across all these different projects that I'm in. It was like almost exactly when Bitcoin started to just kind of, okay, looks like the bleeding has stopped. Okay, slight recovery, and boom, you're seeing the buys flying in again. So this is how it goes. This is how it goes. It wasn't going to drop to zero, guys. Bitcoin wasn't going to go to 60 to zero today. So again, you have some dry powder. Not the worst idea. The dips are going to get bought. This bull run is definitely not over in our opinion, and it's going to be completely fine.
Yep. I don't have much else to add. I still believe that the Ethereum outperformance is coming with this Mt. Gox news and the Ethereum spot ETF coming, and then we'll finally get the long-awaited little altcoin season where you'll be able to outperform with your mid caps versus the large caps. It's been quite a while, something like 6 months. Now we have had meme season, we had the AI mini season, but for those of you who are new to the space, those 1 month outperformances is not the alt season that we're talking about. Alt seasons are 6 months, 8 months, 1 year of outperformance versus Bitcoin and some of the other large caps.
Yeah, I don't know when alt season is going to come, but it definitely will come again. It would make sense that it would sort of coincide with a run on Ethereum once the ETF is approved. So we'll see if that plays out. I think it's a pretty reasonable thing to bet on. We'll see how everything plays out here, and we'll keep making videos. We'll keep doing these daily market analyses. We got some good project interviews coming out. Pre-sales are still a thing. Meme season is still here. Market is not dead, people. And we will see y'all on the beach.